Hey guys, in this video I will show you how to play ISO on Ascent, and we will start right here when we are attacking. So first of all, if you are trying to rush, I would recommend you to use your ability like this, so that anyone right here is concussed. So you wanna do this, you wanna do it, you can activate your double tap, and then you can push. When you are following this up, just simply you wanna try to make sure that these enemies usually they will be playing at the gen, so that they are vulnerable there, and as you can see it's gonna reach all the way to heaven. So you do it like that, you send the wall to the right, and you can clear this. You wanna clear the close corners, and you are still hiding behind the wall. Usually these two spots would be smoke, and you would be gaining some info by some silver arrows, so you would have idea where the enemies can be. But very simply, just send your wall to the right, so you can hide behind it, and then you can clear those close right corners while also clearing the left. And also don't forget to have your double tap activated. Great thing on A is that you can use your ult anywhere right here, and you are in a safe spot. So you can use it like this, so that way you cover this most common spots on A, and then if you have a Sage, she can even revive you here, or your teammates can just simply push while you are at it. So you can firstly use this, so that the enemies are at least vulnerable, and then you can ult. And this would grant you usually at least a 1v1, and in the meantime your teammates can push and trade on the guy who would be hit anywhere on the site. You can use your vulnerable in the boss plant as well. When you are under heaven, just simply use it like this, so that way anyone right here is vulnerable, and then you can try to spam them through the floor right here. Another way how you can use your contingency or your wall while entering is by simply doing this. Just simply send it towards the generator, and you can go to the left, so that way you are covered for a bit from these spots. Of course you can do it for this spot, so that way you are covered from heaven or from the dices or anyone picking you there. So definitely use this, it gives you a lot of cover. This wall can work very well also on mid, so you can do this and just go behind it, so that way you can pick short, but have in mind that this wall will end right here, so that way the enemies can pick you after that. So it is also another way. However, from short it is much better. As you can see, you can do this, just simply send it there, and you can try to peek the left side, while you don't have to worry about anyone picking you from short. Once again, if you use this first, then your wall, the enemies would be vulnerable for a bit. If you are coming to B, you can use your undercut right here, so that way anyone picking you would be a 2-shot into the body, or just simply it's much better on the pistols, as you can see, since you don't have to do that much damage, and your ghost works like a sheriff. When you are entering, just simply you can use your wall a little bit to the right like this, so that way you can be picking slowly, and you don't have to worry anyone to pick you from the spawn. You can also send it to send it to market, and then try to pick it, and once again you don't have to worry about the spot. Definitely always when you are entering or going to the site, equip your double tap first, so that way you have the option to shoot the little target that appears on anyone who you kill. Of course you can also, upon entering, use your concuss on these spots like this. Not concuss, I mean the undercut.
Destabilizing.
So that way you can try to even wallbang, and it would be quite easy to get the kill on anyone standing there, or even enemies right here. Once again, once they get vulnerable, and it will be easier for you to enter. Ulting on B can work quite well as well, since as you can see, she would do it at this spot, it would get most of the spawn and anyone in these spots, which are very common for defenders to play. So if you get the info, once again your Sage can revive you, even if you die right here, or the enemies can trade you, since you remove one enemy from the site. And of course, if you are in a post plant, you can be always sending your overcut in any of these spots, so the enemies are much more scared to push you for a bit, and you can win some valuable time for your team. Moving on to A, when you are defending, I would say one of the best ways how you can support your teammates by using your util like this, so that way they can use, for example, Race Nade, or Sova can use Shock Dart, so that way you can get free kills on anyone standing there. And of course, if you are defending, very simply, the enemies are about to push, just simply send this, and you can and you can just simply peek into it and spray through the smoke onto the enemies who would be vulnerable.
Stopping fire.
Of course, you can use your wall so that way you give yourself an advantage, and you can peek the enemies as well from various corners behind the wall. Once again, you can even try to use your ult right here, so that way you hit anyone in A main, or more optionally, would be much better is if there's anyone planting the spike, you can try to get them off the side and win some time for your team, since they would have to plant again. So if they are low on time, this can work very well, and your teammates can push in the meantime. And if once again, if you die, you usually get traded, since enemy would appear at the spot where you took him from. You can use it, for example, from here or into the under, so that way your teammates can push, and the enemies once again are gonna be vulnerable. You can even spam them from if you know that they are under heaven, and it would be much more simple to get a kill like this than if you were just simply spraying that. You can even play aggressive in A main by simply firstly activating your double tap, using your wall, and you can just go behind it and try to catch anyone off guard. Once again, you can even combine it with your vulnerable enemies would usually fall back, and be much harder for them to hold this. And if you have your teammates, for example, Breach or Omen, to flash this, it would work absolutely great. One of the best things that you can do, for example, in B main, I would say, is where you can take advantage of these spots. As you can see, you can vulnerable this whole area, and if you hear them, you just use this and spam with your Odin through the wall, and it would be usually super easy for you to get kills. You can even try to ping at the beginning of the round, so that way you know where you should be aiming between those two dots. Simply use your undercut, and then you can spam from the left to right, so that way anyone can die at these spots. Of course, you can be even playing market, waiting for enemies to come in. If they are about to push, just simply once again make sure that they are vulnerable. If there is smoke, you can try to spam it, or if you have an Odin, once again you can shoot through the wall quite deep, as you can see. One of its strengths is that you can be also pushing, for example, mid, just like this. Simply send to your wall, and you can be trying to beat these spots and get yourself in some interesting positions where enemies don't have to expect you. And this can work very well. For example, if the enemies are in front of B, once again simply do the wall, they cannot see you from top mid, and you can peek the tiles. In a great case, you would have someone peeking also from here with you, so that way you have an advantage on mid. And of course, when you're defending, just simply make sure you use your vulnerable with the enemies are pushing. You can be standing pretty much anywhere on B or even on A, and this can work very well. It would at least delay the push, since enemies usually wouldn't want to push when they are vulnerable and easy to kill like that. Of course, always activate your double tap if you have it. It can work fine. You can get some free kills in these spots, and you can get lucky and also take the little plate that appears above them if you kill them. And of course, your ult works great in B main as well. You can use it from the safe spot. You can catch anyone who'd be even all the way deep, right there. Or if they are planting, just simply use it onto the side. As you can see, once again, you can get the planter, and your teammates can push in meantime. Use your vulnerable first, so that way your teammates are in advantage if they are about to push them. And we'll start right here in front of showers when you are attacking. So first of all, before you are pushing and you wanna pick anyone into showers, you should always equip your double tap. As you can see, you have to press it before it is activated, so that then you can peek. You can also, if you are pushing showers, I would recommend to using your wall like this, so that way you can peek it, and your teammates go with you, and you can clear these showers. Of course, upon entering, it can be useful as well. However, usually those spots, either of these, would be smoked, so that way it would not be such a problem. You can be trying to use your undercut like this, so that way anyone who'd be close or in the backside and who would be trying to hold you is gonna get vulnerable, and you can try to peek here. Preferably, you would go through short, where you can use your wall like this, just so that way it blocks anyone who'd be there and you can't see them. Or you can go from this side, which I would say is even better. You can use your vulnerability like that and just simply push it, and you won't have to really worry about anyone, since your teammates could push with it, and you would also vulnerable anyone who would be here, so that they would usually fall back. This undercut ability is especially useful when you are on pistol round, where you can be using if you have planted on a just like that and trying to peek anyone right here. You can play aggressive, since your classic or your ghost even would turn into sheriff and you would two body shot pretty much anyone without armor, so it's really worth it. You can use this ult pretty much anywhere on it. As you can see, it has a far reach, so that way if you would be ulting, for example, from quite a safe spot like this,
no distractions,
you can get anyone in here, and even if you die, usually your teammates can push with the ult, and then they can kill anyone who would be taken away with you. Or on the other hand, your sage can rest you in a safe spot. You can use this also if the enemies are trying to defuse, so that way you can pick them off the spike and try to stall for a bit, which can win you a lot of time. Right here on B, you can use your undercut the same way as you would use his paranoia. So by simply doing this, it would once again get anyone who would be here. You can You can very simply ping those two spots, so that way you know that you've hit them. And you wanna aim in the middle of this hallway, so that way anyone in here is usually gonna be vulnerable. If you would want to push through here, just simply use it like this. One of the things that you can be also trying to do, if you have a race on your team, you can use your vulnerable at this spot, so that way she can also throw there her nade, and anyone on the backside would be a free kill if she lands the nade here. You can use this with other nades as well, for example KO or Viper Brim and others. The same thing is gonna work right here if you are pushing from long. Very simply equip this, use your wall, you can stun these corners and your teammates can be starting to push with you, so that way anyone would be either side. Just simply do this and you can still try to go in. Your teammates would smoke these two spots, so that way you could enter. Would have a flash somewhere or Sova dart, so that way you can enter and try to get a free kill on anyone there. You can also try to ult anyone offside from anywhere, either long or quite deep from hookah as well, or even further, as you can see. For example, right here, if you have the info of anyone who's playing there, you can try to pick them off the side and try to enter in the meantime. Now let's move on to defending, when I think ISO can work very well, especially in these lamps, where you can be using your undercut right here. You can be using it even at the beginning of the round, so that way your race can nade this, or just very simply at the first round, where you can just cast this and peek it. Anyone here would be very quickly vulnerable and you can get a free kill on them. You can be trying to even play aggressive in showers. If you have a Sky on your team, you can send this wall. She can flash through it, and then you can peek behind it. It would be super easy to get kills like that if you have a Sky on your team. The same thing you can do in here as well, by simply waiting for enemies and then peeking it once again. Of course, you can be even playing for some safe kills and let the enemies plant, so that way if they are planting, simply you use your undercut there or from any other spot, as you can see, since it reaches there perfectly, and you can race nade this or do it at the other spots. If you have your ult, you can either try to use it early on in the round, since it reaches all the way into the link, just like that, and you are in a decently safe spot in here, or you can be using it when the enemies are planting. You can try to, if you are in a 2v1 situation, you can pick him up off the spike and try to either stall the plant or get a kill on anyone who's planting. Once again, the same thing that I showed you on A works on B as well. What I like to do is usually I would stand backside, use my undercut here, and you can spam this spot, so that way anyone in here would be a free kill. Usually for enemies it would be quite difficult to react, since you have a lot of time to do this, and they would get vulnerable as soon as you start shooting, so you can get your kills quite quickly right here. The same thing you can do on long. You can be either playing for your teammate, who you can be supporting, so he can flash for himself, you can vulnerable them, and he would get a lot of kills by doing this simple thing. At the beginning of the round, you can be also trying to do stuff like this. So that way you would have your Sky or someone try to flash through this, and you can try to kill anyone who will be behind the wall. You can use a lot of these super well when you are taking sites, either on B or on A.
Breaking them.
You can be using your wall, for example, like this, so that way you block off this area and you can make good backside, while also using your other abilities.
Show me a target.
So it should look like this.
Fire.
Very simple, and you can try to peek other spots. Usually your teammates would go with you for these retakes, since the wall covers you for only a short period of a time. Right here on short, you can be using your high penetration gun in these spots, and you can be wall banging through this wall, anyone on short. So it would look like this. As you can see, you just simply, you can even ping at the beginning of the round, so that way you know where to shoot. You're vulnerable, and you can wall bang through these spots, and it would get you free kills on anyone who would be close to pushing. Of course, you should be careful, since enemies can be quite close at this point, and they can flank you from this spot, so have that in mind if you want to try to do this. And the same thing works for this box. If the enemies decide to plant there, just simply shoot there your util, and as you can see, these bullets would go through and you can kill anyone who's planted in here. And we'll start right here on A side when we are attacking. So first of all, usually you don't wanna really do much right here unless you know that the enemies are pushing, and you can also activate your double tap. So you can use your undercut right here at the beginning of the round to make sure that anyone who would be pushing would get stunned. And you can use this double tap just to activate it at the beginning of the round like this, so that way you are ready to go in. Usually the Viper wall would be right here, so only spot that you are worried about would be this one. Simply send your wall there, you can stand, you can use your undercut there, enter into the site, and you don't really have to worry about anyone peeking here, since usually you would be covered by the contingency wall that you've sent. Then you can also try to make sure that your undercut goes all the way either into the corner right here or here, depending on where the enemies are playing. But I would usually recommend it send it behind this wall, since that's where the enemies would usually be. And then you can try to plant even. You can also try to take a 1v1 fight right here, since as you can see, you can pretty much see the whole side with it on the map. So if you know there's someone, you can try to take them off the side, let your teammates push in with the Viper wall up, and when, even if you die, they can try to trade you, since you can try to spot them where you took the enemy from, for example like this, so that way they know in which area they should be looking for him. And if you win, you just get the one defender of the side, and it should be quite easy for you to enter it, just like this. If you're trying to go mid, you should usually have someone try to smoke this off, so that way you can just very simply use this like that, so that no one is peeking you. You can be even using your wall, for example, like this, and go behind it, so that way you are covered from most of these angles and you can wanna peek the doors. But usually have someone to smoke this for you, and together with your undercut, you can be trying to push in. And when you get closer, you can always just very simply, for example, use it right here, or for these common spots on the stairs or behind this, depending on the info that you've got. But always, before entering, use your double tap, so that way you are given the chance to break the little plate that's gonna appear and above the enemy that you kill. Upon entering on B, you wanna be usually sending your wall like this, so it's gonna block this side, and you can use your undercut like that, so that there's no one peeking you, and you can enter in here. You can use it even behind the wall, so that way it would be easy for you. Usually you want to have the wall on the left. You can be sending even more than one, for example one where the op would be playing, like that, behind this pillar. Depending once again on the info that you get, usually you should be trying to gain the info first and then execute based on that. You can be also trying to enter into the side, for example like this. You can do this, clear the left, clear the right, and then you can go here, since this would be covered for you and you don't have to worry about it thanks to the wall, as you can see. Or you can just simply push in and try to get a kill like that. Have your teammates push with you, so that way they can at least trade you. And once again, on this side, as you can see, it's gonna reach literally everywhere on the side, so that way you can once again take off the defender of the side if you gain the info where they are playing. If you are defending on A, you can be playing aggressive right in this A main area. You should be trying to fight with someone, usually someone either with a flash or break stun would work great as well. And at the beginning of the round, if you hear enemies coming in, simply use this. In the best case, you want to have a smoke right here, so that way if you have a Viper, so maybe he can use his fall there. If you have Omen or Astra, once again, you can do that, or even Cascade from Harbor, that would be great. Much simpler doing this. Anyone gonna peek in is gonna be vulnerable, and once again you have a high chance to win the gunfight. I would say the ISO is great for defending here, since as you can see it's gonna reach all the way here in the main, and if the enemies decide to push in, you can just simply do this, and you can do it pretty much from anywhere. You just do that and spam through the wall of the Viper, which is usually placed right in these spots. You can even do it from the stairs, but as you can see it doesn't reach that far, so you have to be playing much closer, but playing behind this pyramid as well should work fine. On A you can be ulting even from this spot, which is very safe I would say, and you can reach all the way into the shop right here, so that way if you know that there's someone playing there, you can try to use it like that. And once again you can take off the enemy, you can take them off the plant as well, from various corners I would say. As you can see, since usual enemies are planting either in any of these two spots, and you can pick them off the plant with this super easily. So if you are in a clutch situation, you can do this and try to change the numbers pretty quickly. You can be playing aggressive on mid as well, by for example sending your wall all the way here on the bottom, so that way you can push in, and you can take various corners like this. It's gonna disappear here. You can be sending these wards. You can do this from the doors as well, so that way you can just simply send your wall like that, and you can get behind it and to these spots where the enemies don't have to expect you. And if you have someone, for example, throw a flash at this corner, the enemies would be blinded and you can get some free picks. If you want to be pushing elbow, you can be simply waiting for the enemies to come, activate your double tap, and if you hit them close, just simply use it like this and you can peek it. Once again, enemies are gonna be vulnerable and it's gonna be much easier for you to kill them. Defending on B is gonna work pretty much the same way as it did on A. Once again, if the enemies are about to push, simply use this. You can use it from plenty of corners, as you can see. You can use this for your teammates, so that way they can kill, for example, through the smoke. And it's gonna be super easy to do that. You can use your wall, for example, on retake. If you are, for example, wall of this and try to peek off of this, it's gonna disappear here at the end, just soon enough, so that way you can pick this. And you can make a lot of space with this wall if you wanna scale up. And of course, as you did on the A side, you can be also ult anyone of the plant right here, once again in a decently safe spot. Or you can do it even here, from heaven. Once again, as you can see, all the way back, or you can do it even further a little bit, but it doesn't reach all the way there, but unless the enemies are planting here. So there's once again a lot of options from where you can ult, and you can take off the enemies off site super easily, so that way you can get yourself into advantage. And we will start right here when you are attacking on A. I think this character was pretty much made for it, and thanks to these long walls which we can do. And let's start with his undercut. You can always use it on the map. As you can see, it's gonna reach all the way here, but you should have in mind that it doesn't reach all the way in the back here. There's only this spot, but it really shouldn't matter that much, and we should be only if you want to use it for this spot, so that way you can try to challenge him. But usually I would recommend you to either use the wall if you don't feel confident with peeking that, so that way you can go closer and you make sure that there's no one peeking you from the right of it. And then if you still have your two undercuts, you can use it for your team. First one use here and the other one here. So you wanna do it like this and this, so that way both of these spots would be this whole shore would be vulnerable, and anyone behind this spot. Even if you have a race, you can try to bounce off the nade all the way here in the back, so that way it will be easier for you to enter. And if you haven't used the wall, you can once again try to use it even here, as you can see. But have in mind, if you are gonna use it here at the bottom, it's gonna be quite difficult, and it's not gonna block you from heaven, since it's not high enough for it, since you are using it at a different elevation. So they might either change that or it's gonna stay like this, so have that in mind if you are using it. However, here on short it works a little different. As you can see, the wall is gonna go up slowly and you can make it sway all the way here on short. Then you can use it to make sure that there's anyone vulnerable right here in these spots, and you can try to enter it. Of course, when you are entering, always try to use your double tap, so that way you have a chance to
show me a target.
If you get a kill, to break the little plate that's gonna appear around the body that you just killed, and you can gain a shield that's gonna give you an extra health. If you've made it to the site and you still have your undercut, one of the best spots to use it from would be under heaven. If you know that enemies are about to push, just use this and you can very simply try to start blindly spraying, and usually you'd end up with at least one kill, since it would be super easy and difficult for enemies to react in time. They are vulnerable and it only takes you 2 shots to the body. If you wanna be attacking B, you can even use your wall like this at the start, so that way you can jump out of the window. Have in mind there's gonna be little gaps since the wall isn't big enough, or you can use it even when you are entering further, so that way it's gonna block off anyone in these spots and you can gain these spots easily. If you wanna be using undercut, use it on those 2 close corners, and I would recommend you to try to hit it so that way you hit both of these spots right here in the middle, which would hit anyone who would be either on the top or anyone on the bottom, and it's gonna go all the way into the back. And you can try to get kills like this, especially in pistol rounds when you are fighting close range and it only takes you 2 shots with a classic to the body. Right here in garage, it's super simple. Simply send it to the heaven. You can use your undercut right here so that there is no one, and then you should have someone to smoke this. You can even, if you don't want to use that one, to use this one upon entering, simply use your undercut at the back side so that way you can use it, and you can scale up quite a lot with this wall, which provides you enough cover. However, if you are going from long, this wall is gonna work fantastically as well, since very simply you just use it like this. You wait for it a bit, so that way there's no big gap. You wanna be using these so that once again you can be using this in a combination of Sky Breach or whatever your team is playing. You can be using so that way anyone can be concussed here in this spot, for example like this, which is super easy to do. You can do it even at the platform or all the way behind the site.
Plant the spike.
Just make sure that you are aiming correctly at the correct height, and it doesn't happen so that way it goes way off, since it can be quite unintuitive at first. You can be ult in various different corners. You can try to ult anyone who would be on long if you know there's, for example, operator peeking, or anyone on site if you get enough info where they are. So it's quite safe to use, since if you have a Sage, you can just go, and she has a revive, you can go for this ult. The Sage will wait with you. Meanwhile, your teammates are gonna push onto the side, and there will be usually only one defender for the side, and they should be able to take it. And even if you die, they will kill the body that you've just taken, since it's gonna be a little something like Phoenix ult here, and they can wait it out, and they can just kill the enemy there. Or even if you live, it's only beneficial for you, since the Sage doesn't have to res you. Here on A, if you know that there's, for example, Sage doing wall right here at the beginning of the round every time, you can have your teammates push B, and you can try to get her immediately with your ult, just like that. You can do it pretty much from anywhere, as you can see, just as soon as the round starts and she uses the wall, and you can get get yourself freely on B side. And as you can see, even on C, it reaches all the way here in the back, so that way anyone who'd be playing here, maybe more to the right, like this, which is most of the common spots where enemies can be playing. Then only there's platform, and it reaches there as well, as you can see. So once again, super easy to take side with this agent. Especially you can also, before using these, you can be, for example, send out your undercut like that and ult the left side. If you know that there's someone, have in mind if there's no one, you will just face your ult, and you can get yourself on site. Right here on A, you can be playing aggressive,
Stopping fire.
just like that. You just use your wall at the beginning of the round, and you're gonna be aiming a little bit to the left, so that way you are pretty much aiming like here, so that way it gives you enough cover, and you can be going behind it, and then you get yourself close. You can be using the undercut on the way, since the bullets don't go through it. So once again, you can be also, for example, use it from here. You can pick a spot for yourself, so that way you can use it. Shoot it there, and your teammates might even push this spot. Even if the enemies are pushing, you can be playing backside. Use it on the stairs or anyone on short, so that you can do the push. You can, for example, Sova can use his shock darts on the default, just like that. And once again, you can get them off these spots super easily and get some kills, especially if you combine it with Sova or Race Knight. So it's gonna work pretty much anywhere. On B, I wouldn't really recommend to play him. Here, you can always be doing stuff like this. So as you can see on the minimap, it's gonna cover most of these spots.
Breaking them.
You can peek into it, and even if there is a wall, it's gonna be much easier for you to at least tag or get a kill on anyone who'd be going through it. And the same thing works right here. If you know the enemies push the doors, just simply use it like this. You can try to wallbang anyone there. Just use it and try to wallbang anyone who would be playing anywhere here. You can do a lot of damage by simply doing stuff like this. If the enemies are pushing long, I think this is the best case for you. Because you can even use your contingency to block yourself a little bit. Use it like this and have them wait since they appear right here. But usually this should be enough. Activate your double tap and you can peek. And the same thing would work if they would be pushing garage. Once again, you can be combining this utility. Usually you want to be playing a lot with your team, so it can be quite difficult, but if you learn to communicate and how to use this stuff, it can work great. Especially with his ult, since you can get enemies off the side. As you can see, you can do it on C, B or A in these cases, and you can get yourself in some great spots. If you know that the enemies are planting, it's a 2v1 situation and you don't want to lose the round, so you can just simply ult. You get the enemy off the side, and meanwhile, if you are fighting in the arena, your teammate can push the spot where the enemy was planting, and even if you lose the fight, the enemy is gonna appear right here back, so that way your teammate can kill him in the meantime. And we'll start right here when you are attacking, and firstly on A side. So what you can do if you wanna gain some space, you can always use this at the beginning of the round, so that way you can scale up and try to get yourself into spots behind this route. Then upon entering, you can always be trying to use, for example, your vulnerable ability, so that way anyone standing here has to fall back, or you can just trade them. Or if you are not using the first wall as I did, you can be using it like this, so that way you can walk behind it and try to get yourself in some different spots. So that way you can either later on in the round push here by simply doing this and getting vulnerable on anyone on the side. Of course, when you are entering, you should always be trying to first activate your double tap, so that way anyone who would be trying to peek you, and if you kill him, you can get the little plate, the extra HP, if you break it. So definitely use this double tap. It takes quite a bit to boot up, and then you have quite a lot of time as well until it disappears. So definitely use it when you are entering. Of course, you should have someone to smoke this, and when on entering, simply use it like this and have some flash coming in your way, so that way you can try to get a kill. You can ult on A side pretty much from anywhere. As you can see, you can be even at this route right here. You can be, if you know that the enemies might be pushing a lot, you might be wanna ult like this, so that way you take off the defender and you take him into a 1v1 situation, since the reach on it is very good. You can use it even in post plant if the enemies would be planting. As you can see, you can reach at this spot even from here, so that way you can pick off the enemy of the side super easily as well. If you wanna push B, you can be firstly doing your undercut right here, so that way you get anyone who would be close, and on the entry you just want to use it, for example, like this, so that way the enemies from this spot, which would be usually the most annoying one, they are not gonna see you, and you can clear those close heaven and right corner. If you decide to go on C, definitely you can use your wall like this if you don't feel comfortable to entering it. Otherwise, usually a flash right here would be enough. If you decide that you wanna push C, you can firstly use your wall here. You can even try to undercut anyone who would be here so that they are vulnerable and easy to kill. Or in other cases, usually flash and undercut would be just enough. So you just wanna hit this corner so that way no one can be standing there, and as you can see at this angle, you will also hit the mount for anyone who's gonna be pushing. So it's super simple. When you are entering on C, usually the wall right here would be much better, since as you can see it's gonna fit pretty well. Use your undercut like this, and you can enter and get the whole backside for yourself. So that way it will be quite simple for you to enter, as also use your double tap so that way you can get those additional HP. If you know if the enemies of Sage fall and she's fallen this off at the beginning of the round, you can do this instantly, so that way your teammates can push here and get into sight without the wall being here, as well as they can trade you even if you die on the Sage who's gonna disappear. You can do the same thing on C. As you can see, it's gonna reach pretty much anywhere, and for example at angle like this you are pretty much guaranteed to hit anyone who's gonna be on site. Defending with ISO right here on Lotus is pretty simple. All you really have to do is just simply use your undercut, for example at spots like these, and combine it with, for example, Race Knight, so that way at the beginning of the round if the enemies tend to push this a lot, you just use this, nade that, and you can get some free kills or at least gain a lot of space. You can be playing at the doors as well, either waiting for anyone to come from here or from here. If the enemies are taken up, you can always, for example, use it like this and try to wallbang this wall. If they open the doors, you can simply do this, and usually enemies would be scared enough so that they won't run into the tree area. Once again, if you are retaken, very simply using your undercut ability and the contingency wall to go in would be quite simple. You can gain a lot of space with it. The same thing would work if you are playing on stairs. Very simple, the enemies are pushing. Use your wall, you can use the undercut and peep with it. It's gonna provide you some cover and slowly disappear. As defending on A, defending on B is quite a bit easier, since as you can see there's only this choke point or even this one, so you can be using your undercut here and try to peek, since enemies would be usually super easy kill after that. And this wall is gonna fit perfectly into this area, so that way it's gonna get blocked and you can delay the push for a bit. The same thing works for C. If you are playing right here, it's a dangerous spot. However, if the enemies are about to push, simply using your undercut like this would work great as well with the wall, so that way you can delay a little extra more. And then with some other undercuts, you can do these from pretty much anywhere. When it comes to using your ult on any of these sites, you can use it, for example, in A main. As you can see, it's gonna reach very far, so that way you can be in a very safe spot and you can take yourself into the gunfight. But most importantly, I would use it when the enemies are about to plant, or if you are going for a retake, since you are once again taking one defender of the site. And if you can do it well, you can take off the guy with a spike of the side, so that way you can either win on time and your teammates can push in so that they can at least trade you, or you can get a kill on them and just simply win the round. If you are running high penetration gun, for example, doing your undercut on anyone who would be right here would be great, since you can, as you can see, you can shoot through it just like that, so that way anyone right here can take a lot of damage and you can get some free kills with this undercut that you use right here. And of course you can be even playing aggressive, so that way you use your undercut here or your wall at the beginning of the round for these spots, so that way you can once again gain a lot of space, and then if they were about to push, just simply use your undercut, so that way you can win the fights much easier. Another thing that you can do is you can spam these doors. If you use your undercut here when the enemies are pushing B, you send there your undercut and you can try to wallbang and you can do a lot of damage to anyone who would be on the side. You can do this with any high penetration gun, so that way it will be once again simple and you can deal quite a bit of damage to anyone who will be trying to push here. And we'll start right here when you are attacking on Ascent. So you can do something that you do with Omen. If you have a chat or or Race in your team, she can be able to usually use this, especially in the first round. So that way he can use his undercut right here when our Race is gonna be pushing, since usually she would have only classic and armor. But anyone right here would be 2 shots into the body if they didn't buy armor. So it's super easy for them to get a kill right here, and you can get yourself an open. You can use your wall up and entering like this as well, so that way you can scale up and go behind the wall. You can use your undercut like this, so that way anyone close is gonna get vulnerable. And if your teammates are pushing with you, they can easily trade and continue the push. You can be easily also using your wall like this, so that way anyone in heaven is not gonna pick you. If you are going fast behind the wall, you can be using it to stun anyone who would be standing in these corners. Or as you can see, it's gonna reach all the way here if you get in this spot, so that way you can hit elbow, but you can do it even from here. But usually try to aim a little better than I just did. It's like that, as you can see. Of course, if you have your double tap, always activate it first before pushing, so that way you can get at least some, if you can kill anyone, you can get some additional health that can save your life, so that way you can break the little plate that's gonna appear above enemies who are gonna get killed by you. You can be using your ultimate from once again safe spot. For example, this one, as you can see, it's gonna reach all the way into elbow, rafters, and even ramp. However, it would be quite difficult here to predict where the enemies can be. So I would recommend just simply first get an info if you know where the enemies are playing, what their habits are, and then just simply use your ult like that and try to take off on one defender of the side, so that way it's gonna be easier for your team to push in. Even if you have a sage, you're gonna appear dead at this spot, so that she can revive you after that. You can be even pushing mid, for example, like this. Behind the wall, you can swing to the right, so that way anyone there, you can see them, has someone to smoke this, and you can continue the push by simply using your vulnerability like that, and then clearing the rest of these spots, so that way you know where if there are enemies. If you can get here, you can use it like this, so that way anyone further back or close behind the box is gonna get vulnerable, and you will gain a lot of space by using these abilities if you don't get stopped by the enemies. You can use it even from here, either for this spot, so that way you are not really afraid to peek and get close. If you have no one to smoke this for you, you can use it at these doors, and it's gonna climb it, as you can see. And you can scale up once again and continue your push if you want to. Moving on to B, I think it's gonna be super easy to push here, since as you can see, you can use it, for example, like this, so that way you can stun anyone in the back, like that, anyone close. You can use your wall and follow it up. Here you should be either using Viper wall or a stage wall, so that you can safely push, and they are safe from the push if you use your wall, so that way they don't get shot from anyone in the back. You can just simply use these abilities to gain even closer, even with your double tap, so that way you can take fights and not really be afraid and try to get a kill, so that way once again you gain yourself an advantage or even a first kill that can be very helpful. You can be also ulting, and in this spot, you can, as you can see, you will reach a lot of different places. So you should be firstly getting info where the enemies are playing. Usually there will be someone heaven. If you know that, for example, there's a sage who places wall on mid, you can get here at the beginning of the round and wait for him. So you can aim like this, and you will always get the sage there. You can use it instantly, so that way you can get a kill on her, and meantime your teammates can push, since enemies would not be expecting you to be pushing this early on, since you firstly have to break the wall, and there won't be anyone playing close. Even if there's not this time sage, there's for example operator playing. By simply doing this, you will still get them, since they would have to be picking the mid round. And this is super easy to do, and it can win you a lot of fights. Even if you die, once again you get traded. Moving on to A, if you are defending, usually you wanna be playing with Race, since her nade is gonna do a lot of damage, and you can be trying to set up a little traps with her. You can, for example, vulnerable this, and anytime she nades that, you can do it pretty much from anywhere. You can do it even from the ramp, but as you can see, if you are more to the left of it, it's gonna provide you that it's gonna vulnerable more people. Even if you have a breach, you can combine it with him. You can stop pushes by simply, or if the enemies are inside, you can just simply use this wall and try to scale up behind the wall, so that way you once again can gain space. Even if the enemies are pushing in, you can use this. It doesn't go that far as you can see, however it goes far enough so that way you can take a fight with these enemies. The same thing works right here on mid. You can be waiting for enemies to be pushing, use it, once again peek. And once again, if you use it with your race, you can get into great combos and get a lot of kills like this, which would be super free for you, and you're gonna get a lot of assets. You can be also peeking that, usually activate your double tap. You can use this if you wanna change your angle, since enemies don't have to. If you explode, if you use it here, they would be usually looking at that spot, and you've already positions to a different one, once again giving yourself an advantage. You can use your ultimate to get enemies off sight super easily by simply doing stuff like this. So that way anyone planting, if you're in a situation where you have to are in 2v1 situation and you want to lose the round, once again you simply ult the site, or you take the risk and ult it. You can use it from safe spots, as you can see. You can use it from spawn all the way here. So that way it would be pretty easy for you. On A, it's not that easy. You have to be much closer, so you should have someone trying to hold these spots for you. But still, you are giving yourself, you are still in a good spot where the enemies don't have to kill you. And it will start right here when you are attacking on A side. So you can be playing very aggressively here. You can be either supporting if you have a jet, so that way you can vulnerable anyone close like this and she can dash in. You can even use your wall if you are pushing, for example, in this spot, so that way you can enter on the left, since this would be covered for a bit and you would have just enough time to get into the side, into the safe spot while you are pushing with your team. Don't forget to activate your double tap when you are about to come in, so that way anyone who would be here, once again, as you can see, you will gain these spots and you can just simply enter it. You can use your wall for much further away as well, so that way you can get closer to the site and just to clear it. Definitely just be using your team's ability, so you should be using your team's ability slot, for example, if Sky or Chaos flashes through this window, so that way you can enter here and then run maybe into the site. So that way it would be much easier for you to get the kills. Then you can have some of your teammates go this elbow as well. If you just wanna be ulting, and if you know that they are, for example, doing their sage wall in either of these spots, you can be waiting for the sage wall, or you can just simply instantly do it, so that way that your teammates can rush in. They will kill, get a kill on anyone who would be, if you lose the fight, on anyone who would be trying to do the wall here, and they can enter side much simpler, since there would be only one defender left usually. You can be taking space quite a bit on mid as well with your ability, so simply by doing this at the beginning of the round, then you should have someone to smoke this. You can be coming from this spot and, for example, using an undercut here, or anyone who would be in these spots, so that way you would have, you would at least vulnerable them, and it will be easier for you to take the gunfight on these spots, or you can try to wallbang through this, even if you use your undercut. So definitely you can be also using your wall like this, so that way you can enter in and try to get into the spots much faster than otherwise you would, since you wouldn't have to be worried about other angles where enemies can pick you from. If you are going B, just very simply, I would recommend to use your undercut right here at the beginning of the round, so that way anyone who will be trying to either hold you or trying to run in, they would get vulnerable, and then upon entering, just use your wall like this, so that way you are safe from the left side. And of course you can combine it with other vulnerable abilities. You can use it one here, or very simply one like this, so that way it would look like this, and anyone who will be close right in these spots is gonna get vulnerable, and it will be much easier for you to get a kill on them. And of course, don't forget to equip your double tap once again. You can be even ulting on B pretty much from anywhere. As you can see, you are in a very safe spot, and it's gonna take off once again the defender of the site, so that your teammates can rush in the meantime, and you can get either the kill or the enemies will trade, or your teammates will trade you, so that way you are still granted the site. Defending with ISO on A is, I would say, pretty good, since you can be
Over
there's
there.
a lot of these choke points where you can use your undercut and
Breaking them.
take it into your advantage, so that way you can peek into enemies. And you can even use this greatly for retakes. You can use your wall
Making cover.
like this,
Destabilizing.
undercut anyone right here, and you can be going to the side. You can be doing this from spawn, even if the enemies are planting. You should have in mind that this wall
Over there.
is paper thin, so that way if you use it like this,
Destabilizing.
you can then spam through it, so that way anyone who will be planting here would be a free kill. You can be even playing pretty aggressive, so at the beginning of the round simply
Breaking
use your
them.
vulnerable like this and you can peek.
Breaking them.
You can use this once again and try to get deeper. However, if your teammates are not coming with you, I don't think it's worth it to be pushing this much, since you don't have any escape ability to use. On A, you can be using your ult, as you can see from, for example,
there.
this spot, which would be very safe. And you can pick off side anyone who would be trying to plant or either push in, so that way you can get yourself once again.
Over there.
If you are 2v1 situation, you can just use it on anyone who's planting, and then in the meantime your teammate will push into the side while you are fighting in an arena. And even if you lose, your teammate should get a trade on the enemy, who would then appear, and he can get a free kill on him, since he would see the spot where he took him from. Playing on mid could be quite difficult, but I wouldn't really recommend picking that unless you are unless you really trust in your aim and you can hit those shots far with pendle, so that way you can break the little play that's gonna appear if you kill the enemies. Otherwise, usually this would be smoke, and you can be waiting for enemies to come here once again into this choke point, so that way you can use your undercut here. Or you can be even supporting from the other side, so that way you can either throw your
Over there.
vulnerable right here into market to help your team, or just simply be waiting for anyone to come here. You can use it and then pick it. The best spots for ISO, I would say, is either in market or anywhere on B, since there are these choke points which are great for you to hold. You can be either holding like this at the beginning of the round, just simply doing this. If you do this at the beginning of the round, you can even try to spam through, since it will be much simpler for you to get the kills on everyone right here. So definitely give these a shot, and if the enemies are simply entering on site, you can be sending to push anywhere. And while they enter, you just simply use your retail and try to peek into them, so that way you can get those picks. And once again, if you are trying to retake, you can be using your wall, so that way you can clear these corners much faster. And you can be also using your ult from various spots. As you can see, it's gonna reach even all the way here on spawn. You can do it from anywhere, so that way you will hit anyone on site and try to go for a free kill. You can be doing it from here, from the spot, so that way you can hit the market on anyone who'd be trying to go there, and you can once again get some free kills, so that way your teammates can win the round eventually. So yeah, that's gonna be about ISO on Sunset. I hope this video is gonna help you guys. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and see you guys soon. Bye.